Good afternoon, this is Tom the designer from Just With Furniture. I hope you're doing well. So, Chris has passed along your details, and this is my first draft attempt at your bespoke fitted furniture design. What I intend to do in this video is just run you through the top level design. I'll show you what we've got for starters, but just do bear in mind that this is a place to start, and with your feedback, we fully intend to iterate upon the design. This is not like a one and done situation. So let's just get stuck straight in and show you what we've got. So as you can see by that blue wall there, that is where the wall is indicated. We've got the two alcoves here on the left and then on the right hand side there. And what I intend to do for this is I've effectively created 1, 2, 3, 4 cabinets, all with double doors. If we jump to the 3D, there you can see we've got the 60% and then 40% shaker style. So it's top heavy. I think it strikes a nice balance. They are, of course, painted panels. If we open up the doors, we've got the melamine-faced MDF, which is called Roblay Denver on the inside. It's a lovely warm wood grain. And if we start on the left-hand side and work our way across, let's just take the doors off. So we'll start over here. We've got cabinet A, B, C, and cabinet D. And you'll notice that in cabinet A, we've got a taller portion on top and then a shorter portion below. So it is biased to the top, and that goes the same for cabinets A and D. And for now, we've put a shelf here because it is quite handy to have that optionality in case you want to place objects here. Some people like to put perfume bottles, aftershaves, maybe even a belt or two or something like that, though it can easily be removed. And part of the game that we'll go through, if you're interested, is biasing the top and bottom so that they're matching your outfit. So let's say, for example, this was for blouses. And let's say your blouse is finished there. Well, look at all that space we've got below it. And part of the benefit of choosing to go with bespoke fitted furniture is that you're able to tailor these spaces to exactly meet your needs. Now, you might decide that, most of my blouses finish there and most of my skirts to match finish there. So we'll look at all that space below. Maybe we turn that into a shelf space there. Maybe we put another shelf at the bottom and you put some shoes here. So there's loads of ways of subdividing these spaces so that they're really bespoke and tailored to your needs. So that's the first point that I'd make about it. Obviously in cabinet A we've got a pull down rail and then we've got a fixed rail below. And typically what we say is for the fixed rails to put your heavier items, whether that's maybe a jacket or maybe a trousers that are quite heavy or a leather jacket or something. Of course, we can play with the biasing. Maybe this could be the shorter space and this could be the longer space at the bottom if you wanted to put your jackets and blazers and what have you on the fixed rail and then your blouses and light items on top. Now, from here to here is its own unit. Okay, so it looks like this is a separate cabinet here, but it's not. That's one cabinet from there to there. Do excuse the poor drawing here. So from there to there is its own cabinet with a vertical division in the middle of that. In this one, because we haven't got enough depth because of the alcove, you can see that the wall juts out like so. And because that's a rather dead space, it wouldn't make sense to kind of build the notch around that. So what I've done instead is I've created it at that depth, which means it's a very handy shelf as say, a linen press or to put some t-shirts and what have you. But it, of course, isn't full depth, so it's definitely something to be mindful. Now, we can subdivide this. I could make the spaces smaller and you could have even more shelves if that was something that you're interested in. Or we could do manual, so you could say the bottom shelf is 40, then wedding cake it, 38, 35, 30, 25, you know, until we get to no space at all at the top. I think most people like to keep it as wide as reasonable, so it gives them optionality into the future as they're not entirely sure what to put there. Though it's got enough space, height, the vertical axis, and a reasonable enough depth for it to be a very workable linen press. Now, this portion of the cabinet notch is, of course, still shallow depth. So it's a really great idea to still keep this as extra shelving and storage. The benefit of that is I'm able to put a vertical division here that sits on top of that notch. It finishes about there, but then it returns down here. So it's a bit tricky how I've constructed it, but what it allows for us to do is create a really lovely big open tool hanging space here. Now, again, because it's an overly large space, excuse me, we still have a space up here where you could put maybe some shoe boxes or some shoes. Alternatively, you may find, do you know what, from there to the bottom is taller than any dress or garment that I would ever wear. Let's drop all of this down to say here, put the shelf there, and then maybe add an additional shelf in that space, so you're really subdividing it as best you can. Or equally, we just put a shoe shelf at the bottom. So there's loads of ways I can subdivide this, and I encourage you to after you've passed some feedback, maybe to set up a design appointment here at the workshop. You know, see that we're a real brick and mortar business. We'll show you how all the cabinets are made. You'll come up to the workshop. We can show you some of the melamine-faced MDF materials for the inside. And then, of course, the world's your oyster if you choose to go painted panels and do the shaker on the outside. And that's simply, you know, picking your favourite Farrow Ball, little green colour, and then we'll do our best to colour match to that. So, on the right-hand side, you've got your tool hanging there. And to the final unit, you've got your pull-down rail at the top. And then, oh, it's not there, but it should be. Another fixed rail from the top, like so. There we have it. So it's a really great way to subdivide the spaces equally. So you've got your, push all your stuff at the top, use that vertical space with the pull down rail, and then you can leave the bottom space for your slightly less large items. Now, of course, we don't have to have the vertical rails here. We could pigeonhole these, and because it's full depth, you can get the most out of one of these boxes. Now, they're really great because you've got a handle on the front, and you can have a front space and a back space to have your pull-down rails for this. You have a front and back section so that you can have one kind of underwear, another one, or sports tops, sports bottoms, and we're pigeonholing the shelves, so it's really maximizing that vertical space as best you can. So that would be that. Now, if we just go on to the final look over here, really clean look. And you'll notice on the left-hand side and the right-hand side, there's this yellow strip, and that's simply to denote that I've put 2 light strips in both panels of all 4 of the cabinets. Okay. And that's it. That's everything that I've got to show you in terms of the design. What I'll do is just nip through and show you some dimensions. Feel free to pause it at any time. The blue boxes, as you're seeing on screen, represent the internal space between shelves. So there's a shelf right there, and that's the top panel. So it's the top internal space. And as you can see, it's 126 in height, 65 centimeters in the front to back axis, the depth, and 90 in the left to right. And of course, it's the same in the front to back and the left to right, but it's a meter, that void. And do bear in mind that all our rails are sat 4 centimeters down from that limit. So the rail space, the drop I call that, from the rail to the bottom is 96 centimeters. And in the top space, it would be 122 centimeters. So do bear that in mind. So cabinets A and D are the same. I shan't repeat them. Cabinet B, you've got 36 centimeter high shelves, and they're all equal, and they're 90 centimeter wide, so they're really, really wide indeed. And they're 28 centimeters in the front to back axis, so a very usable shelf. And the final unit here, so there's the vertical division. To the left of the vertical division, it's the same distribution, 36 in the vertical axis, same depth. Sorry, pardon me, no, it's not. It's 26 in the depth and 46 centimeters in the left to right axis. Now, above the tall hanging, you've got a space of 30 centimeters in the vertical axis, and you've got 65 centimeters from the very back to the very front of the shelf, and it's 42 centimeters wide. Now, the entire void's 196, which is extraordinarily tall. They say on average long hanging's about 160, but who's average, you know? Every bit of garment is completely different. So you've got about 185 centimeters in height from the rail, so that should cover most things. But as I mentioned, we can always drop this if you're interested. And that's that. I don't want to overwhelm you too much, so I'll leave the video there for now, but I'm really excited to hear your thoughts. Do let me know what you think and how you might want to proceed with things. Of course, we'll go through the iterative process if you like the direction and you think we're the right fit. So my name's Tom, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Speak soon. Bye for now.